There's some very strong evidence in studies that show upwards of 95% of all cancer is actually lifestyle related. And lifestyle meaning stress, anxiety, cigarettes, alcohol, poor food, no exercise, all these things. Stress is a huge part of a huge contributor to every major chronic disease on the planet, which is awesome because stress is totally in our control. And it's very controversial to say, but it is. A lot of people tell you stress is not in your control. You can't control stress. Everyone's stressed. No, it is completely in our control. And you know how? Because of how we choose to respond to stress. Stressors of life are going to happen. Someone might hit you in a car and you get in a car wreck. That's out of your control in that moment. That's a stress on your body, on your brain, on whatever gets impacted. That stress is out of your control. How you respond to that. You get angry, you get upset, you get vengeful, you start blaming, you have all these negative thoughts for days, weeks, months, years. You have resentments, then you have to pay money and now you're in pain, and so you're constantly stressing over it. That is all completely in your control. And so how we respond to the things in our lives that's the only thing we can control, right? It's the famous prayer, the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the wisdom to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference, that is the key phrase in that prayer. The wisdom to know the difference between what I can change and what I can't change. There are many things that are going to happen in our lives that we can't change in that moment. But there are many things that we can change. We can change what food we put in our mouth. We can change what information we put into our minds, what we listen to and what we watch. You won't see a TV in this house because I don't put movies and these things into my mind anymore. What I put in my mind is positive things, spiritual discussions, health information. Those are the things. And even when I did have a TV, it's like that's what I was watching anyway. But even over the years, I found myself just wanting to kind of numb out and watch action movies and stuff like that. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I putting this little bit of stress into my nervous system? Why? So I can numb out? So I can feel a little bit of pleasure? That's why we do these things, because we're seeking pleasure. And we don't realize that pleasure is very short-lived and it leaves us empty. Every time, and this is the great yogic teachings, every time that we seek pleasure, we have these desires and we're trying to achieve something. Where do you end up after you have that achievement, after you achieve your desire? Are you any better than before you started? Think about it. Think about any desire you ever had in your life and then you achieved it. Maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was a new job, maybe it was $1 million, whatever it was. And then you achieved that. Are you any happier? Maybe for an hour, 5 hours, a couple of days, and then you're back to where you were. And often you're actually more empty after, and not empty in a good way like the Buddhists teach. We want to get to emptiness, but empty in a way where you feel almost depressed because part of you realizes, well, I just spent all that time and energy chasing this desire that actually I thought subconsciously was going to make me happy, but didn't make me happy at all. And so this is important awareness, knowledge that we need to have if we actually want to be happy in this life, if we want to be peaceful and content in this life, is to realize what are the things that bring us true joy and true lasting happiness, and what are the things that we're chasing after that leave us feeling the same or worse off than when we started. And when you're chasing desires, believe me, they're going to leave you worse off or the same than when you started. And happiness is one of those things that when you feel peaceful and happy inside, content most of the time, then your decisions are going to be better, your life choices are going to be better, and your outcomes are going to be better. You will know somebody by their fruits. What does that mean? You will know who a person is, how they think, how they believe, how they behave, by the fruits of their actions. Look at the results that people are getting in their life, and you will know what kind of person they are. Is somebody creating happiness and joy and peace and positive outcomes on the planet? Or does it seem that way, but it's really superficial and fake? What I mean by that is often people look at somebody, oh, there's a big yacht and they're having champagne and they're all smiling and laughing and wow, that's what I want, right? We chase these dreams like that, even subconsciously. We think that's where the happiness is, or people go, oh, I'll never be happy because I'm sick and I can't have that kind of money and I don't feel well, so I'll never be happy. But the reality is, I mean, unfortunately, look at so many celebrities, look at so many people who are suffering and struggling with depression, with suicide, with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, and they have everything from the view of our society. They have physical health. They have all the money. They got the relationships, the beautiful spouses, the power, the fame, all the things that people are chasing, thinking it's going to give them happiness. And yet so many people with that are unhappy, are depressed, are suicidal, and all of that. Even if we think being healthy, then I'm finally going to be happy. So how many people know somebody that's very healthy but very unhappy? Right? You know people that are very healthy but very unhappy. But how many of you know people who are unhealthy but are very happy? I know cancer patients who have stage 3, stage 4 cancer, but they discovered this secret within them, that happiness is an inside job, that happiness is something that has to come from within, that this happiness has to be something I find inside and then share outside. And then you can be unhealthy and you can still be happy, or you could have a diagnosis and still be happy, or you could be dying and still be happy. Because I think the reason I'm talking about this right now is because we're all seeking happiness. Am I right? At some level, at our core, we all want to be happy, which is why we do everything that we do, and why we do a lot of the crazy stuff that we do, and why we chase the dreams and desires that we chase. But our senses, and Patanjali talks about this in the Yoga Sutras, is also in the Vedas and the Upanishads, that our senses are like horses, and sense objects are the road. And so senses, like your hearing, your taste, your sense of touch, all of these things, we desire to feel those senses up with as much pleasure as we possibly can, but they can't handle how much we can give them, which is why you can keep drinking coffee all day long and the pleasure actually goes down, 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 because your body can't handle that much. Or you could have sex all day long or every single day and you're going to have pleasure at first and then it's actually going to go down. It's going to drain you worse. Or you could have a little bit of alcohol and feel some pleasure, and the more you drink, it's actually going to drain you and make you feel worse. All these things that give us a little bit of pleasure, food, sugar, you can have a little bit of sugar and you feel good. The more sugar you have, we're not designed to have unlimited pleasure. We're designed to have a little bit of pleasure and then to let it go. And so our senses are like horses, and the sense objects, the coffee, the sugar, the sex, all these things, are the road. And our mind, because we don't understand the mind and we don't have control of the mind, is like a crazy wild monkey trying to drive these horses down all these different roads, and they just keep going down all the roads, taking as much as they possibly can. And then guess what? We end up sick, depressed, unhappy, unfulfilled in our lives. And so the whole purpose of, let's say, a spiritual path is to realize and awaken to this fact that our senses are limited. Our ability to appreciate pleasure is very limited. And there's actually something much deeper within us that is beyond the senses, that is beyond pleasure, that is a deeper sense of intrinsic peace and fulfillment and happiness. And when we tap into that, then we seek these pleasures significantly less. And these challenges that come up in our life, they don't bother us as much. It's like, oh yeah, I don't feel good today. I got this kink in my neck. Okay, it's very uncomfortable. I got this pain in my knee, or I got it on my stomach. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but I don't have to allow my mind and my senses to go there and take over my whole experience. I can actually focus it on more positive things, on a deeper inner peace.